Let's do this. Get ready for the Dirt Life Show.
Yeah, what's up? Episode 11 of the Dirt Life Show. I'm Georgie Hamill as usual. Got my buddy Casey Peck in studio. How's things going today, dude?
Doing good. Recovering still.
From your bike ride or bike race this past weekend?
Yeah.
I know. We were talking about this before the show. While we're eating tacos, mind you, that it's a little bit harder to recover as we get older.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's kind of funny because you said that you had, like your Garmin was telling you how long it was going to take to recover after all the output that you did because it monitors everything, right?
Right. Yeah, 46 hours.
Holy crap, dude.
And then I worked the next day, all day, so I'm hurting.
The rigors of having to make money.
Right.
That's pretty funny, though. Like, you got to think about it. Like, I wonder if, does it monitor, like, can you program in the Garmin the age, like if you're 18, and it'll be like, oh, it'll only take you 2 hours.
Yeah, you totally can.
Oh, man.
You know, weight, age, the whole 9 yards.
That would be pretty funny if the recovery process was, like, super low for a super young kid compared to what it is for us.
I'm sure it is. I need some of that Spider-Man juice or something.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Popeye juice.
Right.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. We've been having a little bit of bandwidth issues in the studio today, so if you guys chime in and let us know, it looks like we got some guys that can't get it working, but let us know on the comments on Facebook or YouTube, either one, how the feed is. It looks like it's just a lot of people are on, and there's a lot of wind out here too, so maybe the bandwidth is not going to work with us that great tonight. But anyways, we are still recording. We are still making good audio, so let's keep it going. What did you do this weekend, dude?
So we had the Mount Lemon gravel grinder, which is a 60-mile, varying mileage actually, but the premium portion of the van is 60 miles. Starts on the backside of Mount Lemon.
And that's down in Tucson, Arizona?
Yep, Tucson, Arizona. Goes up towards Pepper Sauce and then all the way to the top. A lot of you guys are probably familiar
How
with...
tall is Mount Lemon? Like 6,000, 8,000 feet?
I think it's 8 something at the top. It might be 9, 8,500 or so.
Okay.
So, but anyways, a lot of the off-road guys are probably familiar with 4x up there, side-by-sides. We saw a bunch of those actually.
So what's the trails that the side-by-sides would go up, like Pepper Sauce Canyon and Charlo's Gap or whatever it's called? Or
I think Charlo's out that way. I've actually never been to Charlo, but
yeah,
I'm almost positive it's out that way. Pretty positive it's out that way. But yeah, pretty rough, and it's labeled as a gravel ride, which is pretty cool. I'm kind of into that. Never thought I would be. But you can't ride your gravel bike. Well, I couldn't ride my gravel bike on it, so I had to ride my mountain bike. It seemed like the better choice for me. But there was...
So the difference, what's the difference between the gravel bike and the mountain bike then?
Yeah, so we both share the common interest of road bike also.
Yeah.
Not my first choice. Mountain's my first.
Carbon fiber,
but
road bike,
cool.
yeah.
So same thing, except they've taken, it's almost like an old school mountain bike but with drop bars. It's kind of weird. When it first came out, I was like, that can't be fun.
Are the frames carbon fiber too?
They are. I actually built a steel one, a little bit heavier, but it's way more compliant. Nice.
I was going to say it's probably
smooth,
way more forgiving. Yeah.
Super smooth. At any rate, so it'll be like a road bike, but with wider tires, drop bar, so you can be in that comfortable position for a long time. But the trail was, when I pre-rode it, was so bad for me. It was just a jackhammer on a full rigid.
Yeah.
You know, even though it had wider tires and stuff. And so I opted for the mountain bike, and that was the choice. That was the right choice for me. When I got to the road ride, 14 miles back up from San Manuel, I was questioning my decision. But after looking at the descent times overall, my buddy and I Will smoked like 95% of the field the whole race.
Oh,
and the
on those,
downhills,
yeah.
yeah. So it was the right choice for me.
That's cool though. I don't know if I'd be able to handle it. Like we talked about again before the show, like it just seems like those road bike or gravel bikes that like have that super stiff composite chassis.
Right.
Like it just like rattles your head when you hit any bumps. Like even if you were on just like the freeway and you go off the side of the freeway and you just hit those little, road markers or whatever they're called, the rumble strip. Like, it feels like it would shake you off the bike. Like, so I can only imagine riding it on gravel.
Yeah, when I did it on my gravel bike, like I said, on the descent, it was not good.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, man, props to you for doing that stuff. And I can't believe that you did it like you did 40 miles. And how long did it take you actually?
So I was hoping to be in the 3:30 range, be under 4 hours with problems was what I was hoping for. And it took just over 3:16 or 18 or something.
Dude, that's not bad though.
No, it was good. I was happy with.
What was your average mile per hour?
It was about 12.
Dude, that's pretty good.
It is for that. I mean, that's, it's nasty. And it's funny when you talk about, so road bike, right? We can put it in road bike, or for listeners, we can put it into these kind of,
Terms,
into this term. Generalization is when you go ride road bike 40 miles, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, It's something. But when you translate that to like a gravel bike doing the same thing, it's about a third more.
But it's like 20 sprints connected because you go up and down all.
Right. So a good gauge is like, okay, 40 on a road bike is more like 60 on a gravel bike.
Right.
And a mountain bike is double. So 2 to 1. So you do it on a mountain bike, it's like 2 times the effort as it would be as a road bike. So, I kind of bit off a little more than I could chew when I
but you still
signed
got it
up
done,
for the 60.
dude.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was fun. We had a good time.
That sounds cool. And you said that like you placed almost in the top 10 too.
Yeah, it was close. You know how it goes, horseshoes and hand grenades. It doesn't matter, right? Almost 10th, but
yeah, I know exactly what you mean, but it's still cool to see that you're out there doing it, and especially with. Did it make you want to like go out there and do it again, like but do better this time, or do you just like crap? I don't know if I'm gonna be able. Like I gotta practice more.
Yeah, it does, but I think we've talked about it in the past. That dirt life and moto mentality is like you can't get the want to do your best. You can't turn that off. It's like it's a curse.
Well, not to mention it's just a curse in that. I mean, like at work. Like trying
everything.
to be the best at sales or whatever it is. Yeah, like
everything.
Anything, yeah. Just the best grocery shopper possible.
Right.
But yeah, I feel you on that. And I love riding bicycles, man. I love them so much. I wish we could just like ride bicycles all the time and get paid for it. It would be so cool. And then plus, you said that there was one guy out there that like won the whole deal, but he was like smoking fast.
Yeah, he like I said, I did the 40, he was doing the 60, and he finished the 60. We were both coming into the finish chute. We went across the line very close to the same time. And this guy was my height, 6'2", 6'3", whatever, and he probably weighed 160 pounds.
Crap, man, that's crazy.
He was a machine.
Dude, that's nuts. Well, if you guys can't log in on Facebook, I don't know if it's telling you that it can't log in. We're having bandwidth issues, and for whatever reason, it's not processing the the video properly. I don't know if it's processing the audio, but let us know. It looks like YouTube is working pretty decent. I can see it, mediocre at least.
Back and forth.
Let us know if you guys can see it or hear it, either one, and then we'll try to make our adjustments over here on this end. I don't know how much we're going to be able to do, but anyways,
So what about you? How'd your weekend go?
It was awesome. Let's thank our sponsors first, though. Yep. We got to thank Shock Therapy, Awesome Shocks, Fuel Wheels, Rigid Industries. I got to meet with those guys at the Lucas Off-Road this weekend. It was so cool. Zollinger Racing Products, Solderweld. Lance couldn't make it. He was going to fly out from Utah and come hang out in the studio, but he had some business stuff that got in the way, so he's going to try to come out on December 2nd. We got a really fun off-road show planned then with Wayne and Kristen Matlock, so that's going to be cool. They're going to talk to us about their after Baja results and stuff like that, so it'll be pretty cool. The Baja 1000 is coming up, so I hope that they'll have good stories and fun stuff to talk about.
There's always so many cool stories, it seems like.
If we're going 1,000 miles in another country.
Oh, my gosh.
So it'll be cool. So thank you to all our sponsors. Thank you, everybody online. I don't know if you guys can even see us, but we love you, and we thank you so much for everything that you guys do for us. You guys are who make the show as big as it is, and we keep getting better and better, and it's just really awesome. Like you and I talked about it a little bit before the show as well. I still can't believe like how many people watch the show compared to what I thought it was going to be. Like I kind of wanted it to just be fun and hanging out like we do in the garage, and I still want that same vibe, but it's with a few thousand people instead of just a couple hundred like what I thought it would be. So mad props to us and to them for all tuning in. It's really cool to see that. So unfortunately, Cody couldn't be in. Is anyone else here have any audio? My video feed has not moved. Yeah, sorry guys. I don't know what's up with the internet here in our area at the studio, so we're gonna have to just play it by ear and see what happens. Keep chiming in though, and we can see if we can do something. I don't want to have to start the show over again if we don't have to. So let's give it a little bit and see what happens. So yeah, thank you to all of our sponsors. It's really awesome to have everybody on board. You can communicate with us in many different ways. You can email us, thedirtlifeshow@gmail.com. You can hit us up on Instagram. You can hit us up on Facebook. Just slide into our DMs, message us, anything you want. Tell us in the comments what we're doing good, what you guys would rather hear more of, all that stuff. It's a pleasure to be talking to you guys, so we want to hear more about what you guys want so we can tell you guys everything that we know and share the information with you. Tonight's show, we have an awesome show planned. We're going to talk about Camp Razor. We talked a little bit about your bicycle race, and I want to talk a little bit more about it. We're going to talk about the Lucas Off-Road series. We went and did some awesome stuff this weekend. We're going to have some videos coming out pretty soon, like pit pass kind of things, where we go behind the scenes and get to meet the racers, get to see the insides and outsides of their cars. One of the kids, Jarrett Brooks, had a championship win this weekend in the Pro 2 class, and we got to see his helmet, we got to see his truck, all kinds of cool stuff. So all that, dude, it's so cool. And it's like the stuff that nobody ever gets to see.
Right.
So it's like, for me, I was there and I was so pumped on it, like going through and like getting the opportunity to talk to all these guys and saying hi. And it was just super fun. And we're going to have a lot more of that stuff coming out. So hopefully you guys get to enjoy that on social media, and we'll obviously make more of it if everybody likes it. So who knows, maybe we'll start getting into videos of some mountain bike races and stuff too. I think that would be pretty cool. Anything that has to do with dirt, right?
Right.
So before, we're talking about some Lucas Off-Road Racing, some bicycle racing, Camp Razor. Camp Razor was pretty awesome this weekend. I saw a bunch of crazy stuff. Like we want to talk about some of the technology stuff that you were talking about with the bicycles, but it kind of made me start thinking of Camp Razor, and like technology in cars is crazy, but BJ Baldwin took a Porsche 911 up Oldsmobile Hill.
That's insanity.
He went down the sand highway through all those whoops, and the car is only maybe an inch and a half, 2 inches off the ground. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
And he took it all the way up Oldsmobile Hill, and they got a video of it. I mean, it's all-wheel drive, but dude, and no matter how much air you let out of the tires, those tires are only 2 inches tall.
Yeah, rubber bands.
So how the heck could he have done that? I've seen some trucks, like normal full-size trucks, struggle to get up that hill.
Yeah, totally. This guy's a driver, though. He's a professional driver, so
a professional driver in a 911 in the sand.
I know, right? It sounds ridiculous.
But it's pretty cool to see that he actually went through and did all that stuff. Like, I think that's pretty badass that he actually made it up the hill. So that was pretty cool to see. Yeah, so what's up with all the technology that you were talking about with the bicycle stuff that you were saying?
Well, so I was thinking about, you mentioned, you did some behind the scene, looking at the guys' race cars and stuff, and it's all the little things that count, right?
It makes a huge difference.
So I was going on that train and thinking, or on that path of thinking, and so even on the bike side, there's computers and sensors for everything,
right?
And in everything that you're trying to do competitive, or you're just trying to do it the best you can,
you need data.
Get the best data that you can, and do something with it. So on the bike side, one funny stat that popped up right as the ride was loading up was that over 40 miles I had shifted 714 times.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
What the heck? So, okay, whatever.
That's like what, 120, 130 times per mile?
It was like, no, I think it's like 17 or 18.
Dude, that's still
or something
insane.
like that. But so then you start thinking about it, okay, and you start thinking about the elevation profile and all that stuff, and the racer in you starts to say, okay, another fact is that I never got into first gear, so I probably could have done something with my gearing. I'm not going to do that. I'm just saying
to
you
make
could.
It different. Yeah.
So I didn't use the full spectrum there, right? I didn't use everything that I had available to me.
So maybe if you wanted more speed, you put a bigger gear instead of a little gear or whatever.
Right. So, and then the same thing, heart rate, all that stuff. You're looking at how to make it the best experience for you, whether you're racing or not. So along those same lines, a really, really close, good buddy of mine, I grew up with him, Ramey Bortmus, just bought a really sweet Razor Sport, brand new, a 2020 or whatever it is. And it's got,
Is it that sleek looking one or is it the normal looking Razor?
It looks normal to me.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of the layman looking at. They all kind of look the same, racy or not to me. I can definitely appreciate like it's got a huge boxed in swing arms or whatever you call like,
A-arms.
Those arms compared to like a regular Razor, they're like way bigger. This thing is pretty awesome. But at any rate, I'm going on that data, and his came with some kind of control. I don't know if it's Fox or whoever, but the shocks are electronic and monitored, and you can adjust them. And I'm thinking to myself, it's no different. So if you're not racing, but you just want to have the best experience at Glamis or wherever you're at, and you know that when you go to, you name it where it is, you need to have this suspension setting. That's so awesome.
Yeah, you can just program it. I actually talked with Justin at Shock Therapy, one of our show sponsors, obviously, about that electronic suspension, we'll call it. I don't know what the technical term is. But he said there's tons of adjustments because they have an ECU just basically for the suspension.
Right.
So you can log the data, you can pull it off, and you can also see it works like, I don't know, let's just say 1,000 times a millisecond or something like that to track what you're doing with the sensors. And he said that you can load different setups like what you're talking about, and you can just turn them on and turn them off or whatever you want. He said that the stock ones are pretty good for normal people.
Right, and that's what I'm getting at is just because you're not racing doesn't mean you don't want to have the best experience for the weekend or the event or whatever. So
did Ramey Joe say if it was good or not?
He hasn't taken it out in the dunes yet. It's just been cruising. He's broken it in on the street a little bit. I think he might have done a couple little dirt road rides, but they're getting ready for its first maiden voyage in the
Dune trip.
Dunes. Yeah, he's super pumped about it.
Is it a 4-seater or a 2-seater?
It's a 4-seater.
Right on. Dude, those things ride like Cadillacs, man. They're so nice.
Yeah, it looks super cool.
Right on. Well, sorry guys, if Facebook still isn't working the way it is. If you want to switch over to YouTube, you can. We'll get Jake Coleman on, and we'll have him make sure that everybody goes to YouTube as well. I don't know what the deal is with our internet connection tonight, but I apologize. We'll see if we can get some of the stuff worked out this week. But yeah, maybe it's just everybody's trying to look at videos tonight on their after work or something. Netflix.
Camp Racer. They're all searching this Porsche 911.
Yeah, exactly. Porsche 911 up Oldsmobile Hill. Right. I still can't believe that, dude. Like, I still really can't believe it. Like, he had to you would think, okay, well, he can go slow and he could just cruise, right? He can't. Like, he had to go hit some of those whoops pretty good to get up there.
Bury if not, right?
So, and you can hear it going up the hill in some of these videos. And he's on it pretty good. He's probably giving it at least quarter or half throttle. So, I mean, like with 900 horsepower, it's probably going pretty good. But to make it up to the top of the hill, like, I mean, imagine how much viral content he's going to produce with that. So that's pretty cool. So like I said, we want to thank all of our sponsors. We want to connect with you as much as possible, even though our internet connection sucks tonight. We have Jake Coleman from the Dirty Dooner Show coming up. He is an awesome individual, man. He invited me on his show, I don't know, maybe a year or two ago, and it was a really cool experience. It was one of the probably first 10 podcasts that I've done, and it was cool to just talk shop with him. You know what I mean? It wasn't a professional, really, cutthroat environment that I had to be. I could just be myself, and it was really neat to have that type of experience. And I've listened to a lot of the shows that he's done, and he's just a good dude all around. So it's cool to see that he is has this show, and he has the same kind of mentality as all of us. He loves the dirt life, so it's pretty cool. Awesome. And we really welcome Jake, and he's going to tell us all about his Camp Razor experience this weekend, and we'll have to see what kind of fun stuff he saw. Maybe he saw BJ Baldwin go up the hill. So that'll be pretty cool to talk to him about. But yeah, I went out to the Lucas Offroad races this weekend. And I don't know if you've ever experienced like going back to the motocross track after you kind of, we'll call it quit or whatever.
Right.
It was pretty, I don't want to say emotional for me, but it was pretty eye-opening to be back out there, because that's, basically, I mean, other than just local stuff when going to the doctor, that's the first time I've been out in 7 months to do anything. And it was crazy to me. Like, there was a lot of emotion involved because I was out there thinking how jacked up I am or what people are going to think or, how people are going to address me, and it was really cool because everybody was really open about it and talked to me about it. And, obviously they care and stuff, but it was interesting also to see the effect that something traumatic like that has on, for lack of a better term, we'll call it an industry. So, or a community. A community is a better word. Yeah.
Right.
And so the community, like people that I thought didn't even have any idea who I was, totally knew everything that was going on. And it's just because of social media. Like I've said it a million times, social media is not really a priority in my mind. Like I don't really care about it that much, right? I see the value in it to go and, post things and have people understand stuff. But now I really see the value of the community aspect of it.
Right.
Because you can see how much value people take in their own lives and other people's lives when something traumatic happens. And whether they follow you for 10 minutes or whether they follow you for 10 months, whatever it is, like they really do care.
Right. Yeah. And I think whatever the segment of competition or like interest or whatever, it becomes a family.
Yeah.
You have that racing family. We had a moto family as we were growing up. I had the RC family. I'll be friends with these people that are from all over the world, and I won't see them for years, and then I'll see them at an event.
Like you haven't even missed
Yeah,
it.
exactly. So I totally get it, and I'm sure it's the same thing. They would look at it the same way too. That you're part of the racing family, the off-road racing family.
And it means a lot to have that type of camaraderie because I really didn't think, like I didn't know what it was going to be like going in. I thought maybe, like I'd see a couple people, have some fun, but it wasn't. Like it was like a big event for me. Like it was like cruising around saying hi to everybody, shaking hands, and it was really, really cool. And there's a lot of detail stuff that happened, little stuff for me, like I didn't think I was going to be able to last all day. I didn't think I was going to be able to walk that much. I didn't think I was going to be able to keep my eyes open that long, the fumes and the dust and, breathing in my ears, it's just everything. Right.
Right.
And so the whole thing was a good experience because it taught me a lot that I didn't know because I hadn't been in that environment. My ears are still really jacked up. I mean, even when the trucks went by and stuff, it felt like somebody was shaking up my brain because it was vibrating all the bones and stuff in my ears. So weird.
Man.
It's like nails on a chalkboard times 20. Like it's just so crazy.
Right.
And my eyes did pretty good though. My ears did do pretty good. I could kind of hear people. If there's anybody that I didn't say hi to, it might just not have heard you. So I'm sorry. But with all the fumes and things like that with my eyes, I thought I'm not going to be able to see for very long. My eyes are going to get tired, and they worked out pretty good. I even drove home. So like nice. I felt pretty good. Then I think it was like what we talked about it before the show is your mental capacity kind of overrides all your physical, well-being and stuff like that. Cause I was just so happy to be there. Right. And I was so like amazed at how the community, responded to all the things that have been happening in my life. To see all that love and all that feeling, it didn't matter what my body was doing.
Right.
Because I could just go right past it.
Yeah. The mind is a very powerful thing, isn't it?
It's kind of crazy because sometimes you don't even know. Right. Like, and I'm sure like in a different situation, like you probably got tired on the bicycle ride, and you were just like, oh no, but I'm having a blast. I'm going to just keep going. Like, and your mind overpowers your body. And then the next day you're probably like, oh, I could barely even move, but I got to go to work. And your mind, you tell your brain like, I got to do it.
Well, it's funny how you can make these little deals with yourself. Like you were probably doing the same thing. And if I can rewind for a second. So it's been a couple weeks since I've seen you. I mean, we talk, but it's probably been 3 weeks since I've seen you. And, dude, it's like another positive. Like, I see it. Like, whoa. So I'm thinking those people at the race, they haven't seen you. Some of you haven't seen 7 months or whatever. Mm-hmm. But they saw some really bad pictures. Now that they're seeing, like, this is a huge. Like,
like a jumping off point.
Oh, my gosh. Like, I'm looking at you like, dude. You look even better than you did 3 weeks ago. So
yeah, instead of those small milestones, it was a big one for them.
Right. But at the same time, maybe for you, while you're there, you're dealing with this. They don't know it. They see how you look. You look good. You look way better than.
Thanks, man.
Like I said, it just keeps getting better. But for you, you already knew my eyes, my ears, whatever. I'm going to get tired. But I go back to those little deals that you make with yourself. I was making those same deals. Like 1 more mile at this pace. If I stay at this heart rate and I keep my nutrition down, I got to eat in 15 more minutes.
Yep.
You can get past the next 15 more minutes.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, you've got however many miles down, and there's only that many way to go. So my guess is you probably did the same thing. You just weren't thinking about it.
I did. I really did. And to go along what you're saying, though, too, is like it brings up a point, though, of like your tenacity, because when you talk about making those deals with yourself. Clearly, you need to eat and you need to drink when you're riding your bicycle. When you're exerting calories and needing more fuel, you have to fuel your body. Right. Otherwise, it's going to quit. But you don't really genuinely know what your body needs. It doesn't. Can I take 2 bites and I can last exactly 15 minutes? You don't know that. But you're telling your head, I can just eat a granola bar and I can last another hour.
Right.
Just as long as I go this pace.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that that's what your body really needs. Like
sure.
it might need 3 granola bars, but your mind is going to take over at some point and be okay with just having 1 granola bar for that whole hour of riding.
Yeah, exactly.
So what ends up happening though in racing terms or in training terms or bicycle racing terms is you either overdo it or you feel good later. And I didn't actually feel like I overdid it. I actually thought, when I went to the races, I was like, I'm going to be dead Sunday. I can't do anything. I have to sit here all of Sunday and just watch Netflix because I won't be able to do anything. I'll just have to eat good all day and maybe on Monday I'll be okay.
Right.
But I got up, I slept in on Sunday just to get some rest. And I got up and I did all kinds of stuff. We put new wood on the trailer and got it all set up. We went to the Home Depot. We had a huge, productive, nice little Sunday kind of thing. And, I'm setting up a compressor that you're going to help me with in the garage. We mounted up some stuff on the wall. It was a 12-hour day without issue, and I was fine. I couldn't believe it. When I went to bed on Sunday night, last night, I was like, it's genuinely a good milestone. Like, it feels good when I haven't had that for, a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, agree. Again, with for you, it's that next victory. Conquer the next day.
Yep.
And for guys that you and I know, or I've been in this situation before, it's that, man, I got to feed my family, and unfortunately there's no work. I got to be on the road.
Yeah.
So you put these 12 hours, 14, 16, whatever in a row, and somehow you just do it.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
And that's crazy, though. And that mind over matter thing just goes so far in any racer's life. I mean, when I was out at the track watching all the races, you could see these guys go out and they got 2 or 3 good laps in them and they're just shredding, right? They're killing it. And then all of a sudden they lose a tire. And then it's like, oh, shoot, I got to go in the pits. And then, they go get a tire, and then they're in last. And it's just like, okay, well, you could give up at that point. But not one of those dudes did. They got out there, and then, people started falling off or whatever happens. And then all of a sudden the dudes are in, from last to third place again. And he's, got another chance at it.
Nice.
And it's that mind over matter thing. He never gave up. He never did anything. So it was cool to see all those different things. And just to go back to the races kind of gave me that same mentality that we're talking about. It was like, you don't have to think like you're hurt. You can just think like the racer in you.
Right.
You can think like, I get the healing process is a race. You just have to keep going to the front.
Right.
And getting to the front of the pack. So it really did make a big difference in my mentality. I got home and I was just like, yes, I did it. I'm going to keep pushing forward.
Yep.
Now, what's the next goal? What do I do next? And I want to go on a dune ride in February. So
awesome.
In between there, I want to go with you and your daughter and go out and take the unicorn and see if we can go out trail riding. I want to see if what kind of goggles I have to wear, a helmet, and to protect my eyes and just different stuff like that. I just think it'll be fun to make those little victories, and then all of a sudden we got a big milestone, and then I'll be stoked again. So
absolutely.
Does that stuff happen with you with the bicycle stuff, like this weekend?
Yeah, and truth be told, well, obviously I'm not there's guys way better at this than I am, and I picked this up pretty late.
Yeah.
So here I am, 43. And I'm trying to figure this stuff out. And what the big bummer is, getting this figured out now, I'm so bummed out that I didn't put any attention to something like this training back when I was chasing my moto dreams. You can get this down to a science. You can figure out
back
how far
then,
can I go.
The technology.
Yeah, we didn't have it, but at the same time, they were the principles that they use now. It was already come up with then. It's just they didn't have these awesome ways to do it.
Is that one of those things? If I knew now if I knew then what I know now?
100%. And does it change anything? Well, you can't go back in time, but yeah, I'm just thinking oh my gosh, even at now, it almost makes me want to get a bike again and race, but not happening. I'm not.
That would be a little too much, right?
Yeah, my moto days are done
for any of us. Yeah. I think it's cool that you can track all that data and do all that stuff now. And You know what? I feel like that has helped me in my recovery process too, because the first time I went out, like I know what my my personal records are for going up hills and certain things,
Yep.
and I know that I can't go like on a busy road because I can't see and hear good enough yet. So I just do this little loop right around where we live, and I know my personal records, and I'm not going to beat my old personal records because at one time I was trying to do the Ironman stuff. I was a lot more fit then, but I got real close the other day.
Nice.
I got real, and I was like, "There's no way I'm going to be able to do that." And but I had some stuff going for me. I had a tailwind. I had some tacos in my system, and I had some energy, and I almost beat it. And when I say almost, it was I think maybe a minute and 30 seconds or something. But the day or the week before, I was 6 minutes off.
Yeah. That's a huge difference.
So it's like, yeah. And so for me, maybe the tailwind gave me another minute, but I made up that I made up that other 60% of that personal record, or that try to get to the personal record by myself.
Yeah, but don't forget, it is a loop. So when you were going the other way, it was a headwind.
Right.
So technically, it probably balanced out. You know what I mean? Those are all the
to a
things
certain extent,
you're
yeah.
thinking of. Because, yeah, you're right. Sometimes, let's say you got a tailwind on a climb. Well, yeah, it's going to help you.
Exactly.
Because you're going uphill and it's helping you.
And that's what it was. It was a tailwind on a climb and then a force wind going down.
Okay.
So it was still didn't quite even out, but
Right.
I didn't take it as that. I didn't take any negativity out of it. I took it like, holy crap. Like I got, let's just say 60% better on that just one ride.
Right.
Like because of the way that I was doing. And I looked at my cadence and my heart rate and stuff, and it wasn't even that bad. Like my heart rate was still lower than it was on the ride before.
Good.
So it was like, it was crazy to see that. And that data means a lot to me because I can compare what I was doing before. Am I getting better? Is my body healing?
Right.
Like, do I know? And then I do little stuff too. Like I'll know, like my nose runs all the time now, and I can't hear very good, and like I'll see stuff like in a different area. And since I'm doing the loop, I know that I can see so far from the first time I rode, and this last time I rode, I could see like maybe another, let's just say 200 feet in front of me, and I could actually see it clearer this time. So I can mark all that stuff and keep the data in my head.
Yeah.
Even if it's not available. So it really does teach you to utilize the stuff that's around now. And I wish we had this back in the day, like when we did race dirt bikes, man.
For sure.
So, well, it's getting a little late. We need to talk to Jake Coleman. I'm sorry, guys, again. You can watch on YouTube. YouTube's doing a lot better than Facebook. Why don't you guys switch over to YouTube if you can hear us and watch there. We're going to go to a commercial break, and we'll be back with Jake Coleman.
For wheels and tires with the most style, function, and innovation, look no further than Fuel Off-Road. From stock to lifted, dually to trophy truck, and UTV applications, Fuel Off-Road offers the most complete lineup for your next adventure. Whether a weekend warrior or racer, you can't go wrong with Fuel's massive line of trail tough truck and UTV wheels and tires. Good looks, better prices, and the absolute best range of styles and applications. Find us at fueloffroad.com.
Introducing Rigid's new SRL Series light bar, featuring a sleek 20-inch curved housing, ultra-wide forward projecting beam pattern, and a unique halo backlight feature offered in 4 color options. The SRL Series light bar's new optic combination projects light over 70 degrees wide, with more than enough distance to safely drive in low visibility conditions, making it the perfect lighting solution for most applications. The halo backlight feature is offered in red, white, blue, or amber, and is wired independently from the forward projecting light. Instantly transition from style to function with the flip of a switch, making it easier than ever to own the night.
Hello, I'm Justin, the founder of Shock Therapy. Shock Therapy has been around for 5 years, but we have personally been tuning suspension on off-road cars and race vehicles for over 25 years. We tune between 10 and 15 cars per day, every single day of the week. Our concentration is tuning shock systems and supplying components that improve the ride quality of your car in many ways. Not only do we work on the average UTV, but we also tune suspension for race teams and professional drivers. We currently tune for over 87 race teams in Best in Desert and Score. Our clients and race teams rely on our suspension components to allow them to win races and keep them safe. Suspension is a moving target. We are always trying to hit that target with every customer that we work with. Each customer's needs can be different, and we tune our kits accordingly. Our research and development never stops. We improve our components every single day. As the industry evolves and improves, so do our parts and kits. As of right now, we have over 100 products for UTVs. So when you bring your car to us, you have the satisfaction of knowing that you have the most experience, the highest quality products, and the fact that your car is being tuned specifically to you.
Hey guys, George Hamill here to talk to you about one of our sponsors, Solder Weld. Who is Solder Weld, and what is their impact on the off-road community? Well, some of you may have seen Solder Weld's booths at the races, Lint 400, Vegas to Reno, Score and Snore events, and the UTV World Championship. You're seeing their stickers and sponsor wraps on more and more racers' vehicles every year. But who are they, and what do they have to offer us as off-road enthusiasts? Well, late last year, Solder Weld introduced their new off-road repair kit to the off-road industry and sold out their first week. The interest was overwhelming, as many off-roaders already knew of Solder Weld's aluminum radiator repair rods, and now they were included in a convenient carry kit in camo or black. If you're a racer of any type or off-road enthusiast like myself, you're going to want to take a close look at this product. Solder Weld has combined some of their most elite products into one small kit that fits perfectly under your seat or strapped into your roll cage and allows you to make some insane fixes anywhere you go. How many of us have been in a race or out on the trail and got a rock chip in a radiator or a brake line? We've literally seen a top-tier desert race truck at the 2019 Mint 400 taken out by a simple rock to the radiator. If they would have had an off-road repair kit on board, they could have been back up and running in just a minute. The kit includes everything you need to work on dirty aluminum, stainless steel, copper, and many other metals. Solder Weld's cutting-edge technology allows you to make these fixes with extremely low heat and incredible high tensile strength, leaving you with a lasting fix every time. Don't be that guy who broke down on the side of the trail. Get your off-road repair kit today. Your friends will thank you. All right, Jake Coleman, what's up, dude? Sorry about all the technical difficulties.
It's all right.
How's things
It
going?
happens. I understand that.
You know the technology woes of trying to do a live show?
Yeah, dude. It's it can be frustrating at times, but it's worth it. It's worth it to get out here and talk to people. So.
Yeah, exactly. It is kind of nice to be able to have these kind of garage shop talks. And yeah, it's cool with me because you took me and showed me kind of like a while ago, like what fun we could have on a podcast with the conversation that we had. It was pretty a bro fest, and I really like that. You know what I mean? I like that. I like those sessions.
Dude, and that's the best part about like getting on and talking to people is if you structure your podcast, and I think you guys have kind of learned this dynamic a certain way, people can get on and just, you know, talk about whatever they want to talk about and be comfortable with it. So
yeah, exactly. And yeah, I mean, like obviously when we watch you guys talk, and I still feel like you do it a lot more naturally than us, but I mean, it is what it is. You can learn from everybody. And I think it's cool that the off-road community, Casey and I were talking about this, everybody is such a big family. Like, it's so cool to see all of these people just want to get together and just share stories and have fun, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Sweet. It looks like Facebook's working a little bit now too. So, well, Jake, it's great to have you on the show, man. I really appreciate you taking the time with us. There was a couple questions I want to start off with. And first, everybody who doesn't know Jake, I'm sure most of our listeners already know you, but Jake operates the Dirty Dooner Show. He's an avid off-road enthusiast. He knows pretty much everybody on the planet. He lives in Phoenix, Arizona. So it's an honor for us to have him on the show. But how'd you get into off-road, dude?
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you guys for having me. It's a huge honor for me as well, because you guys are doing a great job with this, and it's, like I said, it's an honor to be on it. How I got into off-road, I've always kind of flocked to anything with big tires and big shocks. And my first job, I worked for a big side-by-side company here in Phoenix. A lot of people might have heard of them, TMW Off-Road.
Oh, yeah.
So Doug Tyler, the owner of TMW Off-Road, he was really good friends with my grandpa. So I grew up kind of around that family. He was my introduction to the dunes. But like I said, I've always kind of grown up around off-road. So that was kind of my introduction to the dunes. That was probably 15, 20 years ago. And that's like really when I started to get into it, where really when I was like, I want to have my own toys, or at the time, I wanted my dad to buy toys. And I've always been drawn to off-road, but I've always been drawn to the scene around off-road. So the toy haulers, the RVs, the Lucas Oil Offroad races. There's so much more to me than just going to the dunes and hanging out and riding.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I wanted to get into the whole off-road question, is because you love everything, man. I mean, like, you even love doing the events that aren't even off-roading per se, but they have the off-road community get together in the city or wherever it is. So that's bitching.
Yeah. I like being around like-minded people. And my biggest thing with doing my own podcast is I like to see what makes people tick, why they're into this.
Yeah, exactly. And most of them are into it like all of us did, like growing up racing dirt bikes, and they just like having the camaraderie around them, the family orientation, and they just like being in the dirt and having fun. It's like the same thing. You like load up a cooler and pack up some food, like, and grill out like in the middle of it doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah. Yeah, there's nothing better than that. I'm more into the recreational side of things, which I think, obviously, George, your racing background, that's kind of you. But, I've seen a lot of the recreational side of things show up at the Lucas Oil Offroad races or at the desert races, stuff like that. It's becoming, the bridge is getting closer and closer together.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of the same stuff, too. Like, we know that if you want to throw a shout out to your employer, Rowley White RV, like, we know that you have a lot of you can see what people take to the races or to the dunes or whatever, like, because you're actually working with those people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Guys, it seems like I think we've always, all of us have been into off-road stuff, like you said. Like, watching the races was always cool. You got to see short course stuff and everything. And moto, you could own something that was very similar to what you watched on Saturday night. That wasn't always the case with off-road. And obviously now with the side-by-side stuff getting just crazy, everybody's like in the same community. Like you said, it's not so unlike what they're racing. I mean, obviously it's a little different, but you have one of those too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you go there and you're cooking out and you're doing your thing. You also have that same machine. So I think that's why that's really coming together.
And a lot of
like
people
you're
that
saying.
Jake would camp with, like at the dunes or at an off-road event or whatever, they all have the same things too.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you see most of, like just side-by-side? Even at the events and stuff, do you get like dudes in their big off-road trucks and stuff, or just side-by-sides?
Well, and I think that's one of your questions further on is kind of the side-by-side thing. It's crazy to see. I saw a guy out at the dunes this past weekend who I've always known for having big sand cars, big horsepower sand cars, $200,000, $300,000 sand cars. And this last season, in the off season, he built a RZR. And, his RZR is no slouch. It's really nice. But I was talking to him at the hill on Friday, and he's like, I just was over the sand cars. He's like, the side-by-sides, it's easier to find parts for them. He's like, it's easier. All my friends have side-by-sides. And so really, I see side-by-sides mostly. 90% of our customers that come in, they're looking for a trailer to fit a side-by-side.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually, too. Yeah, and I know a lot of trailer companies have actually switched to being like side-by-side friendly and stuff like that. What was the reason that your buddy ended up switching to a side-by-side? Just because it was easier?
He liked the fact his kids are getting into the teenage years. And so he liked the fact that he could have a mild car for them whether it be a Razor or a Can-Am, and then he could build some crazy big horsepower car for himself.
Oh, yeah, so like a 2-for-1 kind of deal.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
And, so he came and bought the biggest trailer that we have, and he can fit his kid's car in there and his car in there.
Oh, wow. How cool is that? How do you feel about that? Like, would you consider doing something like that, or you want to keep your car? And well, tell everybody what car you have too first.
So I've got a BSC 5-seat sandrail built in the mid 2000s. But one big thing with me and my wife is she's really warming up to the idea of a side-by-side. But when I met my wife, my father-in-law made me promise that when we started going to the dunes as a family, I'd keep my wife in a sand car.
Because of the safety?
And safety, bigger, and that's kind of my reasoning. Everyone always asks, like, when are you going to buy a side-by-side? Well, I'm like, I'll buy a side-by-side on top of the sand car, but I think I'll always probably have a sand car.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Yeah, I definitely think it's cool to be like well-rounded like that. And yeah, and I guess you could say like you could take the side-by-side out in the trails near you and have a little bit of fun in the afternoon, but you could also take the sand car out to the dunes.
Yeah.
That's rad. Well, you live in Phoenix, like we were saying before. It's kind of the mecca of and Southern California, the mecca of off-road stuff. Now that you've seen all the industry changing over the years, like it kind of goes back to what we're talking about with your buddy here, like the evolution of the UTVs and stuff. I mean, to me, it's kind of crazy. Like everybody will say out there on Facebook, "Oh, this new Kawasaki, it's only got 100 horsepower, and it's not going to be that bad. Dude, nobody wants it," and all this other stuff. And then you get the Can-Am guys that say, "Oh, 200 horsepower is the baddest thing ever." Like, what do you feel about all this stuff? And like for me, I just love it. It's so much growth.
I have the same feeling. I did the podcast for a year, and like before I really started to warm up to side-by-sides, and I feel like it's going to change, especially like the West Coast market. I feel like it's going to continue to grow, and I love it. A lot of people don't realize, but like the Razor and the Can-Am, the X3 especially, are huge on the West Coast, but they're not that big when you get into the Midwest or the East Coast.
Yeah, exactly.
And, the Rangers and the Generals and even the Kawasaki Mules and the John Deere stuff, that stuff's huge over there. And so I think it's really cool that, side-by-sides are as big as they are now, because it's a big market. I mean, look at like Polaris. Polaris just bought all the land in Glamis. And everyone kind of talks crap and says, oh, they're going to build a hotel or a resort or whatever there. Who cares? They're fighting for our sport. They're fighting to keep that land open.
Yeah, exactly.
And we need a company out there like that's going to fight for that land.
And the hotel can fund half that.
Right.
Yeah.
That's such a cool way to think about it. Like if you think about, let's just say they sell 5,000 more side-by-sides in the Midwest, on the West Coast, wherever it is, and it gives them the ability to open up that new hotel. And then it gives the ability to open up that land and keep that land safe for the people that want to ride out there. What if that?
It's not just helping the guys in the awesome sand cars and the side-by-sides and the trophy trucks. It's also helping the guy that just has the quad or the dirt bike that just wants to get out there. It wasn't that long ago that all that stuff was trying to get closed, right?
It's like what we just talked about, the camaraderie thing, though, too, is like it's Polaris as a company helping other manufacturers sell cars because those other manufacturers are still going to be out there. Like they're really helping everybody.
It's pretty genius, really, on their part, especially if they have the funds to do it. Totally makes sense.
Dang, I didn't even know that, man. That's a good point.
Well, my thought with it is like right now they're fighting for Glamis. The next 5-10 years we're going to see some crazy changes in Glamis, and that's all because Polaris bought it. But what happens when they go after areas in Parker, or they go after areas in Barstow or in Southern California, other places? What happens? Hopefully Polaris sees value in that and is able to pitch in and, help with that market and help with those areas. I think Glamis is the least of our worries right now. Polaris got their hands on that. I think it's other areas that we're going to have to worry about from here on out.
Yeah, that's very true, too, because there is a lot of areas, like just little spots that are getting closed down, too. I mean, even some of the local spots, like where we ride, and you can't get through them anymore, and it basically takes out the whole ride. Like, you can't do the whole thing, so... well, let's shift gears a little bit and talk more about the cars. So you got the sand car and you're thinking about maybe getting a side-by-side in the future. which I think is really cool. I love that because when I first met you, you were like, well, maybe. So what would be something like, because I always dream about this stuff. Like if I could get a badass car, I'd probably get like have Buckshot give me like one of the truck bodies or something super, super cool with like, I don't know, an LS1 or something in it. What would be your dream car?
I don't know. A common thing you'll hear as you're talking to me in this time is, family. I'm all about my family. And so, anything I'd like to build a Funko one of these days. My wife will see a Funko at the dunes and she'll be like, someday, but whatever I get, we'll always have to have 5 seats minimum. And I kind of look at it as 3 different avenues. I'd love to build a crew cab pre-renter someday.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
Maybe do a lot of the work myself, but maybe send it to Kibby and have him do a bunch of work on it. But a Funko 5-seaters on the chopping block. I got big dreams. And then a big Can-Am or Turbo S. I'd love to have something with a system in it, something bumping, mild build that I can just putt around at the dunes or in the desert and be with my family.
Yeah, that's Funko builds those too, dude.
I know. They've gotten smart.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. Well, let's skip a question since the transition's easy. Like with the family stuff, you're an awesome family, man. You love your family so much. I love seeing the videos and all the different things that you post and pictures and stuff online. It's really cool to see that not only do you have the camaraderie to help people get into RVs, to go out and do your podcast and all that stuff, you still have enough time to devote to your family, and you keep your family involved in everything that you do. It's really cool to see because, Casey does the same thing I do with my extended family. It's awesome. Yeah,
man. When I started the Dirty Dooner show especially, and that's really where I've started to see the changes and me get closer to the community, my kids have always thought it was cool. And, it's been really fun to involve them in it. There's a lot of, and I'm in no way, shape, or form calling myself like a big name or celebrity, but I've noticed that a lot of people on social media or, even like people that deal with a lot of people, they keep their family out of it. And I never wanted my kids to feel like they couldn't come to events with me or feel like they couldn't come out to the desert with me. I always wanted them to be comfortable saying, hey, I know this is for work, but, is there a chance that I can get to go? Because when I was growing up, my dad, with his job, he drove a lot. My dad worked construction. He had jobs all over the state. And so, my dad always used to throw me in the passenger seat of his truck and take me with him. And I've always kind of thought, when I have children, I want them to be able to do the same thing and share those experiences with me. It's not easy, though.
Yeah, I can imagine the workload is probably quite a bit more, but the reward is probably what you're looking for because it's so cool to see all that stuff, man. And I've noticed definitely as you start getting more mature, us older, like all of us, and I've noticed obviously on your social media and talking to you personally and stuff, you have a good smile on your face all the time, man. You must be really liking what you're at.
Yeah, I had some pretty crazy changes about a year ago. I went to work full time, and this is one of your questions, so we'll kind of go into this too.
Cool.
I went to go work full time for Rowley White RV, a company that I've been involved with since like the early stages of my podcast and me doing that. But it's been one of the best things for my family, and one of the biggest reasons is because Rowley White is one big family. So when there's been big changes at my job, at my day job, my boss has always asked like, hey, I want to do this with you. I want to create this opportunity for you, but I want you to go home and talk to your wife. I want her to make sure that she's on board too. And I want to make sure it's going to work with your kids and their schedule. And so, that's kind of the thing is that's what's kept me happy throughout this whole thing is that my employer, they've always kind of had my family in mind. And that's why I went to go work for Rowley White. Is my bosses, they have families of their own. They understand the struggle sometimes it takes to have a family and to do the balance. And they've always had that in mind with me. I don't know if that even answered the question.
No, that's totally answers the question. I think that's cool because it still goes back to the whole dirt life camaraderie thing and everybody's, friendly about it. Do they have like the same off-road mentality too? Like, do they grow up in the dirt and stuff too? Like your bosses and your coworkers and stuff at Rowley?
Yeah, so one of my bosses actually just finished racing the Baja 500, 2 or 3 months ago.
There you go.
Yeah, so he's really big into motorcycles, really big into side-by-sides. One of my other bosses, they just finished building a new sand car. I don't know why.
Sorry about that.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah, so that's cool that he built a new sand car. That's super cool.
Yeah, they're always about, being out there and involving families, and then, being out in the dirt life, as you call it, or, creating a dirt life. They love it as well. And I think that's what makes the company such a great company. Shameless plug, Rowley White RV. We're all out there playing.
Yeah,
so.
That's awesome to hear that. It makes a big difference in like when you're thinking about buying something. Obviously Cody, has affiliations with Jeff Rose, and Jeff has always been cool with me. But I love hearing stories like that. It doesn't matter if there's 20 million RV companies out there. There's a one dude that's going to be a dick, and there's obviously companies like him that are, that have really genuinely cool people. I mean, I don't care if you work on computers or you work construction. It's very rare to have a boss ask you if it's okay with your family.
Yeah, that's awesome.
They're like, hey, I don't want to hear shit about what's going on at home. You show up for work or you're fired. Like that's 90% of the time. You know what I mean?
It is.
So for him to say that, and for him to have a job like that, now I know why he's got a smile on his face.
Well, it's probably I don't know the company too well, but my guess is it has a pretty strong following and probably a fantastic track record for just hearing stories like that. I mean, that's what keeps businesses going around or continuing to go.
Yeah, definitely. We've got a good track record because we treat everyone like family. That word's going to keep coming up, family.
And it makes a big difference too, because he's got an audience on his own with the podcast, and he's clearly got whether the podcast, like if this podcast started 10 weeks ago and it ended tomorrow, then I think it would still be okay because of the reputation that I have, and obviously with him too, he can keep that same things going just because of who he is. It's awesome. Right. Well,
yeah, for sure.
So do you get to deal with a lot of people? Like, because you have one of the buddies that you introduced me to is Rob Mattress Man. Like, he's a cool dude. So you can probably provide more value even with helping him out since you're in the business too.
Well, and that's the main reason why I started a podcast is connections. That's how I know you, George.
Yeah.
If I wouldn't have started a podcast, I probably never would have known you or known what you do, and then obviously been able to follow the dirt life. When I started this thing, I wanted to make sure that as I started with a circle this big, that every year or every 6 months, my circle was getting bigger and bigger and bigger of people that I could trust and people that could trust me. I wanted to help others build their business and see them succeed. That's what I enjoy, is seeing people succeed. I'm always going to be okay. I can always, grind and figure out my stuff and, figure out how to make money or what makes the world go round. But I like seeing other people succeed, and I like, bringing honest people into my life that are going to, treat me well and treat my family well.
Yeah, exactly. And I saw that firsthand. He actually helped me with kind of in the first stages of trying to get the leg braces that I'm working on. In fact, I still have some cool stories that I like to share with you, but they're not done yet. But he was able to, manipulate some carbon fiber with his knowledge and do some things that was really to help me. It may or may not have benefited him at all, but he was just really wanting to see me succeed because he believed in the same dream that I did. And we worked together on it for a little while. And then it had to take a pause because of some of the stuff that I had going on. But dude, it's coming back. Like it might come to fruition in 2020. So it'll be seriously cool to see all that stuff, like all of our hard work pay off and start helping people. Just like you said, we love helping people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it'll be really cool to see some of that stuff. And thank you, obviously, for all your help. It's really awesome that you were able to help me with the stuff that you did.
Yeah.
So the dirt life has, taught you a lot. What do you use like in your everyday stuff? Like specifically for something that Casey and I were talking about was like the mind over matter mentality and being able to understand how you are in life. Like, making little things like Casey just did a bicycle race this last weekend, and he was talking about stuff like making sure that he could finish the race by eating and making a deal in his mind saying, okay, if I eat a granola bar now, I can still go the next 10 miles or whatever it is. And that kind of goes back to like the, whether you're racing or not, like if you're going on a ride, you want to get back to the camp, or you're racing and you want to stay in the front of the pack, like those types of things. Like what kind of stuff has the dirt life taught you as from a young age?
I keep throwing this out there. One thing that it's taught me though is a lot of people in this industry have taught me, if you work hard at something and you just keep grinding at it, you will succeed. For 10 years, I've thought about, how I could get involved in this industry. Never would I have known that I could start a little radio show on the side and it would involve me as much as it has in this industry. I never would have thought that I'd be involved kind of in the background of an industry, selling toy haulers. I never would have thought that. I worked for Boeing for 6 years, as far as I knew, that was going to be my moneymaker. And then I'd go out and play with my family on the weekends. Yeah. And so really, I mean, my whole life now is dirt life. Yeah. The everyday grind is making deals, selling trailers, figuring out how to make Rowley White look good because I do a lot of their marketing. But when it comes to weekend like this last weekend at Camp Razor, me and my boss, and mostly my boss, but he's asked me for a lot of things. We put 2-3 months into making Rowley White look good out at Glamis.
We'll talk more about that because that's definitely something that I'd like to hear about. Casey and I just talked about little bullshit like BJ Baldwin driving his Porsche up to the top of Oldsmobile. But what was some of
I got a funny story about that one.
All right, let's hear it.
So BJ Baldwin, I come back. So BJ Baldwin was camped in the same camp as me over the weekend. And BJ and our other buddy Eric run into camp when I'm there Saturday night. And Eric says, "Hey, BJ needs a Doom Pass." And I'm like, "Cool, I got one hanging in the window of my truck." And he's like, "Well, aren't you going to get a ticket?" I'm like, "No, I'm fine. I'm parked away from everyone. Just give it back in the morning." So BJ steals the Dune Pass out of my truck, drives his Porsche to the top of the hill, which was really cool. Well, first thing Sunday morning, here comes a Ranger. Give me a ticket.
No pass.
No pass.
Oh, man. He didn't care about the epic Porsche drive, did he?
No.
Dude,
did not even care.
Where's the shout out to Jake online, dude, for the Dune Pass?
Right.
What
was really cool, though, is, BJ came, couldn't find a side-by-side to use. I know he asked Polaris, he asked Can-Am, whoever. And so BJ was just out there to hang out and, enjoy the weekend. No one really knew he was there, except for when they saw him in his Porsche at the drags or at the top of the hill in this case. But, he was just there to hang out and see some of his friends. Dune Horror, Eric, those guys, Frank from Michigan. But what was really cool, though, is I got a text from another buddy last night saying, "Hey, BJ gave me some money to give back to you."
Oh.
He did feel bad about the ticket. And I said, I'm not even worried about that. Once I saw his post about how that Porsche made it to the top of the hill, that was well worth the $100 ticket. So
that is pretty awesome, man.
Think of the story. You're going to be telling that story for 40 years, and it'll never get old.
Dude, for real.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
How much did you guys talk about it at the campfire after he did it?
So actually, he did it really late at night. And by the time pretty much he did it, everyone in our camp was asleep. And then we were gone the next morning. But it was definitely, it definitely created a craze. There's people that try to take stock pickup trucks to the top of the hill, and then he got his Porsche up there.
I know.
That's pretty amazing.
That is pretty. Well, I hope it doesn't create like this craze where all kinds of there's Lamborghinis and Corvettes and all kinds of people out there. So that would be pretty crazy.
The funny thing too is I think about going way back when we motoed, right, and our bikes were perfect. And I grew up being a duner, right? I was a little kid, and you did too. I would never take my race bike to the dunes.
Ever.
That's what I always told myself. And then when I stopped racing, trying to chase my dream, let's dune it. It's perfect. Think about a Porsche and think about the sand and where that stuff is. It's never coming out.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he's going to have sand in that thing for years and years and years. Yeah, compared to what our little cheap motorcycles that maybe cost like fully done up $10,000 or something, and he's taking out a $150,000 Porsche out there.
Right, one of those wheels that he buffed all the finish off of is probably worth more than the bike.
How did he get? Did you ever figure out how he got up there? Like, did he change the tire pressure and stuff? Because how much is it going to make a difference on a 2-inch tire?
Probably not much.
Yeah.
I know he had a pretty good group of guys that followed him over there. Guys that were in in our camp.
Yeah.
And they would go, 100 yards, quarter mile ahead of him and kind of lead him through the dunes. Because, what a lot of people don't realize is Camp Razor always being the first trip of the season, the dunes are not the same they were, Easter when people went last year.
So they're all soft.
And so.
Or beat up. After
okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Right.
Soft, and there was a lot of new ridges. And so one thing I noticed with Camp Razor this year is, you used to be able to get, if I wanted to run my tow vehicle out to the hill for the night, just so the kids had heat or AC or, could sleep in the back seat, it would have been really hard to even get a tow vehicle out there, a 4-wheel drive tow vehicle. So I don't know what path they took or how they ended up where they did, but he had a pretty good group that went out there with him with the promise that if he got stuck or if something happened, he was kind of covered. But it still was, a huge risk on his part. And for all we know, that Porsche's sitting in some used car dealership today. He probably went and traded it in. So.
Either way, it's phenomenal. He not only got to the hill, but he got up it. Because the trek to get to the hill, like even in a side-by-side, it's like pretty ruthless. Like you're bouncing
like an
around.
hour of this,
dude.
right?
Yeah,
I remember.
Dude, so I can't believe he did that. Well, what other kind of fun stuff did you guys experience this week? And I honestly, man, I was really jealous when everybody was loading up and heading out there this past week, and I just want to hear some good stuff to make myself happy.
One of the coolest things is we were involved. One of the brands we carry is Genesis Supreme. They're quickly making their mark in the RV industry, and we're the biggest Genesis dealer in the country. One of the coolest things for me was Genesis in the past month has gotten linked up with Red Bull.
Oh, cool.
Any listener of your show, I'm sure, realizes how big of a name Red Bull is. And so we kind of were part of the orchestrating of getting 15 to 20 trailers out there for all the Red Bull athletes and their families to stay in. And when it all came together, it was pretty cool to see the camp that Red Bull, in true Red Bull fashion, they always do things 120%.
Yep.
But the camp that Red Bull and Genesis, with our help, was able to put together, I was really proud of, at that point, the company I worked for and the brands that we were kind of linked to.
Yeah.
That was very rewarding to see. I could have not gone on a ride the whole weekend and seen how that camp came together and how happy Red Bull and Genesis were with it, and I would have been happy, and I could have turned around and gone home.
That's cool. That's exactly what we're talking about, those milestones that you make. Like, he just reached another milestone in his career, you know what I mean, in his journey. That's super cool to see that. And another cool thing about that, too, is not only did you meet all those people, but you can probably talk to them, or they either knew or didn't know that you have a podcast, and you can start, having a more open relationship with them and maybe even have some interviews with them. So that's awesome, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's super cool. Did you do anything with the podcast while you were out there? Oh, we
did a little bit of... Go ahead.
I saw something. I don't know what it was, but I saw something.
Yeah, so one of the other big things we did this year is RJ Jeffries and Lindsay Geyser from Jeffries Performance, JP Performance. They camped with us, and so we did some media stuff with them. I did a quick interview with RJ out there. Some of the other interviews I set up, people were so busy that it was hard to kind of knock them out.
Yeah.
But I definitely, for the schedule for the next probably 3-4 months, I've got people lined up that want to come on the podcast, potential people that come on your podcast as well.
That's really cool.
That was the coolest part is, getting to meet these people where you meet people at the sand show, but the sand show, a lot of companies go out there to sell stuff. And so, they don't really have the time of day to sit there and bullshit with you.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if we're supposed to cuss, but
you can say it, fucking A.
And so that's what's kind of cool about Camp Razor is Camp Razor is a sand show in its own. But, everyone's willing to stop and talk because they're not necessarily out there to sell product or, talk with their customer. They're out there to show face, drink a beer, just hang out.
You got to just catch them when they're not riding.
Yeah, it seems like it's more of a showcase of what this is really about.
Yeah.
Not so much like you said, the sales spin, right?
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, yeah, and I mean, like, he worked for 3 months just to not have any of the sales stuff, just to have fun.
Right.
So that's super cool to see that. Anybody going big in their side-by-sides or doing anything cool out there?
Well, the dudes at Sandcraft, they always set up that jump at the top of the hill to Sandcraft Send It, and there was definitely some real booters this weekend.
Oh, sweet. Oh,
there was a poor guy.
I think I saw that video where the dude tumbled down the hill.
Yeah, that was kind of a rough one.
Who was it? Did you know him or no?
No, I don't know who it was, but you hate to see anyone have that happen to them. So.
Yeah, absolutely. How big were those guys going down the hill? Halfway?
Yeah, a lot of them were going halfway. There was some bikes out there that were sending it halfway on the hill, which was kind of crazy because, like I said, Camp Razor, the dunes are always different that first trip. And so there was really no lip at the top of the hill. So, these guys to send it that far down, they had to be going pretty quick. So
that's pretty cool. So you know how big Oldsmobile Hill is, right? Like, so I mean, it's a huge hill with whoops and stuff in it. So what they do is people will park to the side and they'll make one path that goes through the middle, so everybody knows where people are going to jump down.
Right.
And so guys will get started towards like the top section of the dunes and then come down, and then they'll like launch off it doesn't have a kicker or anything, but it'll kind of just float off the bottom or the top of the hill to the bottom.
Right.
And they go really far because you're hauling ass.
Yeah.
And they go really far. One dude, obviously, I don't know, maybe more than one dude lost it, but it sounds like they were going pretty big.
Yeah, I mean, what's top speed on a side by side? I mean, it depends, right? How it's geared.
I don't think you could. At the top of the hill, you could probably get up to maybe 60. So
think about that: 60 miles an hour, and that angle's just dropping. I mean, I can just see it.
Yeah, just.
Yeah.
I wonder how it feels. Did you get to go in any side by sides or do it at all?
I didn't launch off the top of the hill, but I've done it before when there's a lip, and it's a crazy feeling.
Does it feel like your stomach's dropping out?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels like a roller coaster. So
how can you get stopped quick enough before they hit those bumps at the bottom, those whoops?
Well, I think the biggest thing is you got to have good enough suspension that you're not going to slow down before you get to those bumps. You're just going to have to soak up those bumps.
Well, there you go. RJ Jeffries right there. Shock therapy. Boom. Plug.
There you go. Yeah.
Right
Hopefully
on.
the guy that tumbled, he'll invest in some shock therapy next time. So.
Dude, for real. I feel bad for those guys. How big were the dirt bike guys going down that thing?
The dirt bike guys were sending it.
Were they?
And that's one thing. Yeah, there was a few guys up there on let's see, what was it? Friday afternoon when they kind of opened, or Saturday morning when they opened that jump up, and they were definitely sending it pretty far down the hill. So
we're gonna put a couple dirt bike pictures up on the screen real quick. It'll block all of us out, but we can keep talking about when Casey and I actually went to the dunes way back in the day on our 2-strokes, and we were just like 4th, 5th gear as fast as those things could go, and that was pretty fun though. I don't know that I think that the 4-strokes nowadays can go like pretty big. I seen Cole Seeley and like some pretty badass dudes ripping dunes.
Yeah.
Those guys
definitely, dirt bikes are another thing that have come a long way. So.
Yeah. Did you ever get to do like dirt bikes at the dunes or anything like that?
Oh yeah, dude. I love dirt bikes in the dunes. Up until about 6 months ago, I had a dirt bike, a KTM 450 that I rode in the dunes. That was the only reason I had it, was to take to the dunes. So
that's awesome. Did you go big or did you just kind of chill?
No, dude. I'm pretty conservative. I got kids.
Yeah,
I got to keep health insurance. So
I feel you.
I gotta keep a job.
But there's nothing. I'm sure you would agree. There's nothing like that full bore, 12, 15 guy moto
dune ride.
There's nothing like it.
It's like I remember, like I was just turning pro, I'm a kid, like I'm 17 years old, and I think I'm the baddest shit, right? Like I think I'm all cool, like I could ride the dunes, no problem. I could ride a supercross track, I can go out to the dunes,
exactly.
But so Coleman, one of our friends, took us out on a ride, and there was probably 10 of us or so, and I was nowhere near the front, like I was just following you guys, and I was going as fast as I could. And I was scared because I was like, dude, I can't go this fast for this long. Like, you guys are scaring the shit. And Coleman's a little bit older than us, but he was on a CR 500. And I just remember going.
Harry. If Coleman's listening, Harry was the man at leading those. He had an eye for seeing those, the perfect ride. He was the perfect leader for a wide open dirt bike.
Well, Jay can also appreciate this too, is like no matter who it is, if it's leading a side-by-side, a car or a dirt bike, whatever it is, you have to be able to focus fast and change wherever you're going.
For sure.
And then like we get on this ride and you guys all go over this like tabletop or whatever, and everybody scrubs it, and I think, oh, cool, I'm going to jump it. And all of a sudden I jumped and boom, right over the bars and just KO'd myself. And I was like, all right, I can't go with these dudes anymore. Like, they're too good for me. It was the great equalizer and the humbleizer at the same time.
So funny.
It was like, all right, you 17-year-old kid, here's a swift kick in the nuts. Like, you're not going to go as fast as us.
But one of the coolest things I saw from Camp Razor Weekend is we're hanging out the hill. I usually don't do the hill at nighttime, but we're hanging out the hill Friday night. And, there's that distinct sound of a dirt bike. You can always tell it compared to a quad or a Razor. And we can hear some going through the rows at the hill. We can hear dirt bike exhaust. And all of a sudden we hear dirt bikes, revving up. And we look over, and all these guys on dirt bikes, probably 15 to 20 of them, are cutting through traffic, and they all go up the hill in a straight line together.
Oh, wow.
It was like all these dudes on a dirt bike with single headlight, with a tail light. They cruise up to the top of the hill, and then you see them coming down one by one, all the headlights. And they did that like probably 4 or 5 times.
Dude, that's like those flash dances that everybody brings up, but they're doing in dirt bikes at the dunes.
Yeah.
How cool
like
is
the
that?
flash mobs. Yeah. Those dudes that were on that dirt bikes, if one of you guys is watching the Dirt Life show tonight, hit me or George up. You're like, we got to have you on the show. We got to talk about how crazy you are and why you even thought that would be a good idea. So
yeah, that is pretty nuts, though, especially at night.
Yeah.
That's so cool, though. I like to hear stories like that. I mean, that kind of actually almost trumps the BJ Baldwin and the Porsche going up the hill, but still, that's pretty cool. What other kind of fun stuff did you see at Camp Razor this year? I know that the Nitro Circus was out there. I know that they did some other stuff. What other stuff did maybe tell us about the personal stuff that you guys did and had fun with.
Well, one thing I really want to bring up is the Glamis Black Bag project. Something that I have small involvement in. The guys at Desert Whips and Dave and Jen who do Glamis AXA, they're kind of they head that whole thing up. But Glamis Black Bag project is our really good friends out there, Dave and Jen Garbinski. At the end of every holiday weekend or just randomly throughout the season, they take a group of people out to Olds or Comp Hill or in the flats, and they literally clean up other people's shit.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool.
It sucks that they even have to have something like this. But I want to, bring a lot of awareness to them and them putting this together, really. Because it's my kids have done it like 4 or 5 times now, and every time they're like, "We really got to go pick up trash."
Yeah,
and I'm like, "Yeah, you do. Like, this is another way. This area is going to stay open."
Do you think it's like a catch-22 though? Because first of all, just clean up your shit. Don't have to. But do you think if having this black bag project, I think it's fantastic. That's so awesome that they're doing it. To have that idea and to go through with it is just amazing. But do you think it's going to make people more lazy and they're just going to throw shit out there too?
I'd like to think that the majority of this industry, mainly being the recreational off-roaders and duners, I'd like to think that they're generally good-hearted people that want to pick up after themselves. I think there's a certain part of the industry that they just don't even think about picking up their trash. Because you see it in the popular areas, but you also see it in some of the camps.
Yeah,
I'd like to think it's not a catch-22, but you could be completely right on that.
Yeah, I think everybody needs to do it though. I mean, we grew up the same way, and Jake as well. We either bring an extra cooler, that was a soft cooler, or a bag or something. We bring a trash can with us, whatever you can do. And you always, no matter what you do, if you drop a piece of lint on the ground, you pick it up and you put it back in the bag, and then you hit the road. And you don't leave, even if you're just stopping to get a drink on a dune ride, you don't leave whatever spot you're at, the 10 feet that you just covered and got out of your car without looking around and cleaning up.
Right.
So we all grew up like that. I wish more people would do that, but I think it's so great that they're having this black bag project.
Well, Jake, think of what you're teaching your kids, though.
Yeah.
And hopefully this rubs off on the next generation, and the community really just needs to govern itself. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because you're right. That who would have thought 20 years ago, 30 years ago that we'd even be thinking that a desert that does nothing but keep people happy to go hang out is threatened. Who would have thought that? And it's just one more thing that goes into those people that want to take it away. It goes into their bank, unfortunately. So stuff like this, it's good that you're doing it, but it's probably even better that your kids are involved and people see that, and it hopefully catches on.
Well, and the cool thing is with our friends that do Glamis Black Bag Project is they've got some big names that are involved. Polaris is involved with them. Desert Whips, Shock Therapy, a lot of those companies, some of the companies that sponsored, George and Cody's podcast, and a lot of these companies are seeing the value in what they're doing. And that's exciting because, everyone kind of knows like it takes money to make things like this happen sometimes. And they've had this past year, especially, they've had, some big names come on board. So
that's super cool that they're doing it, though. I mean, no matter what, like the big names that are associated or not, it was their idea, and they're coming out swinging. And it's just, I think it's so rad, man. I wish that more people would do stuff like that, even at the races and stuff. Like I do see, like we always leave, and Lucas obviously has a cleanup crew and stuff, but we always leave the spot just as good or better than we got there.
Right.
It makes a big difference. Do they? Do they just go and do certain areas, or do they do the whole deal, all the washes, all the vendors, all that stuff?
Right now it's mostly certain areas, the high traffic areas, drags, Comp Hill, Oldsmobile, the flats. But I think, as it gets further and further along, I think it'll be all the areas. I think they'll probably have a crew that they send out on Sunday mornings that goes through the washes and picks up stuff, that runs back and forth to the hill and picks up stuff. I know, like in the hour and a half that we did it, between about 5 or 6 of us, we filled up 4 black trash bags full of trash.
Jeez, man.
And that was just to the hill, at the hill for like an hour and back from the hill. So I definitely think it's a problem. And I think that, hopefully there's more awareness out there for it throughout this whole season. And, other people will start to help kind of on their own.
Will you send me a link for it, and we'll try to post it on some of our social media?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that'd be
Absolutely.
super cool. That way they could get a hold of those people or actually help or just see the project by itself. That'd be cool to even talk about it on the show, too. Are you probably going to have them on your show and talk about it, too?
I had them on my show, I don't know, probably a year and a half ago. They will come back on the show at some point to kind of talk about how crazy the Black Bag Project's gotten. But, it definitely would be someone who'd be cool on your show to talk about Dave and Jen, who they live out there 6 months out of the year. They're all about the dirt life, as you say. And so it'd definitely be good, someone good to be on your show as well. So
yeah, that's super cool. Well, that's kind of a good transition into the next question that we have, and that you obviously have a bunch of friends, but a lot of the friends you've met are into the same thing you are. We'll call it the dirt life. Did you meet all these people at the dunes and become friends with them, or did you know them before, or was it like a mix?
It's kind of a mix. But yeah, a lot of the friends I have now I've met in the past 2 years. We'll use Mattress Man Rob as an example. Mattress Man Rob came on as a sponsor for the Dirty Dooner show, and the friendship is worth, a million times more than the sponsorship. Rowley White, those guys are my employer, but they're also my friends. That's who I hang out with the most, is them. And I wouldn't have that job if I wouldn't have ever started a podcast and, kind of put myself out there in this industry, in this community. So, the biggest thing is going back to this word again, my friends have become my family.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
that's super cool to see that, though. Like, we talk about it all the time, and we talk about it not just on the show. We talk about it in general. I mean, I must have said it 10 times when we were at the Lucas races. Like, the camaraderie and the mentality of all the people that are doing these things is all the same. And I grew up with a lot of people that weren't into dirt bikes. I don't really talk to them that much now. So it's that like-minded, not individuality, but that like-minded sense that everybody has, but you're still in your own individual. It's still not like a team sport, but everybody's having fun and doing the same things, and just, it makes such a big difference in how you grow up and how different of a person you turn out to be when you're doing these things. It's just so crazy. And like you mentioned before, how amazing it is that he's teaching his kids this. Like, that is so freaking cool.
It seems like with anything that's like this, it's complicated, and it's like the challenge is the common bond, I think, because it's challenging to get ready to go to the dunes. I remember And then I remember when we were 18 and 20 and doing it ourselves, that was challenging.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I got to pack this, I got to get that. I mean, it's a whole, you know how it goes. So I think along with that, it's just inherently hard. It's difficult to do that. And I think that becomes the common bond. And then all the great stories that go along with it. Oh, I forgot to change the tire. Or, you know what I mean? We've all heard these stories.
I bet you that's something that he probably talks about on a daily basis. Like,
yeah, right. With
that experience is probably good for the first timers that are trying to get ready to go to the dunes too.
Yep.
Oh, dude, I can't tell you the amount of times that me and my wife have forgot to put water in the RV.
There you go.
Yeah, all of us.
We're driving across town, and my wife looks at me and says, "You put water in the toy hauler?" No. Did you? So, it's all about the dirt life is to me is so much more than just being out there. It's, the group text messages that go on before trips or before you guys meet up together. It's the drive out there. My wife, she's a trooper, but she goes along with me 90% of the time when I go out to stuff. And it's strengthened our marriage. That's where a lot of our serious conversations have happened, is in car rides going to Sanford Super Show or Off-Road Expo in California, or, out to the desert, stuff like that. So
that's a good point too, is because you're putting yourself in a position where there's nothing else bothering you, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to do either something fun, like go to the dunes, or, he has a show and he takes it to events and stuff, and he still has to do business, but really you're just focusing on one thing, and that's just getting to the place that you're at. So that's cool, man. That's really cool. And who doesn't have that anticipation, going to the dunes of oh my God, I can't wait. I can't wait.
Man.
Come on. That's what Cody said the other day too. He's like, I don't even know when you get to the dunes, how you can unload so fast. He's like, you just pushed your car out one time, and I'm like, it's because I want to go.
Yeah.
I'm ready to rip. I'm sure you have that same fun feeling too.
Oh yeah, dude. I try to get to the dunes at nighttime, because I know that if I get there at nighttime, I'll be a little more relaxed, and then I can get up in the morning and hit it hard.
Yeah.
So if I get there in the middle of the day, I'm like, all right, let's unload this thing. Let's put the tires on it. Kids, change the tires.
Yeah, let's go.
Whatever. So I try to get there in the evening, and because I know that's how my brain works. When I get there, then I'm able to unwind and then have a great day the next day. So
yeah, he's got it all planned
Yeah,
out.
smart move.
I got it planned out pretty good. So
a lot of times we couldn't do that. We would just be just cruising straight to the dunes, from work or something.
Yep.
Be like, oh fuck, we're ready to go. Let's do it. Just bail out. What kind of food do you guys usually take out there? Do you guys grill out a lot, or do you guys take easy treats for the kids and stuff, or what?
Oh, dude, it's mostly tacos for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, which I know you can appreciate.
Of course. We just had some.
We had them for dinner today too. Some fried tacos Dorados. So that was definitely good. Well, I wanted to again say thank you very much for coming on the show. The Dirty Dinner Show was a huge opportunity for me, and I don't know if I'm really paying you back because the show is still small, but I feel like we can definitely have some more shows together in the future. Maybe we could even team up and do some shows, since we have so many partners that are kind of close or at arm's length from each other. I think it would be really cool to coordinate some stuff like that and work together.
Definitely, man. And I think it's very cool, what you've started. You've definitely taken it to another level. The live format that you're doing is very good to see. Two guys, in this case, you and Casey, sitting there talking. And that's what this industry is all about, is, bringing awareness to issues or topics that need to be talked about, or, topics that people want to hear about. A lot of people can never get, closer than an arm's length to these racers, and you're bringing that to people. So, and that was my goal, is I wanted people to realize that these owners of companies, or these racers, or that they're really normal people. They're really, a lot of them are very blue collar. Yep. And if you meet them at the show, you can walk up to them and talk to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think that's a really good point to bring up too. Is teamwork makes the dream work, so we can all do the same and help each other. And I think that's a really cool thing. I don't know if you heard earlier in the show, but I started doing some pit pass kind of stuff at the Lucas Offroad races, and I'd like to do that not just with the Lucas Offroad races. A lot of people that are up in the Phoenix area that own motorsports shops and things like that, and those little things, like the ideas that I think you came up and did some interviews in some shops and stuff like that, and those things are so cool, man. For me, it doesn't get any better than that because I love to see stuff being built. I love to see the behind the scenes stuff. And I'm sure those companies love that Jake goes in there and talks to them about that stuff. And
Definitely.
I had a great time doing it at Lucas, so I'm sure that it would be cool for him to do some more stuff like that too.
Yeah, and that's the fun part about it is, it's fun for me. One of my first interviews I did was with Joe Fab out here in Apache Junction. And I asked Joe, I'm like, hey, do you want to meet me at like a business or like a common place? And he's like, hell no. He's like, I want you to come sit in my shop with me on my rusty old table and do this thing. And that was like,
perfect.
I was like, all right, this is cool. Like, there was guys working in the background for the first half of the show and throwing wrenches and swearing at each other. And, that was the coolest thing for me.
It was real. That's the real stuff.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That's exactly, and that's what, like, the dirt life and the camaraderie, I want to make it real for everybody, and I know Jake does too. Well, let everybody know how they can get a hold of you if they don't already follow your podcast. I mean.
Yeah, definitely. At The Dirty Dooner Show. That's how you can get a hold of me on Facebook or Instagram. My number is 480-721-7949. I'm a sales guy, so my number's out there anyways. But, yeah, if you guys got any questions on The Dirty Dooner Show or you're interested in coming on my show or, you want to hear more about how me and George can work together, definitely hit me up. And, hopefully we'll do this in the future.
Yeah, even if you need a trailer or a mattress, dude, for that trailer. Because, dude,
that's right.
Those things, like, honestly, like, when I was scrolling through and I was looking at the Camp Razor stuff, like, and this is by no means a sales pitch, but it kind of is indirectly, but I was thinking to myself, like, dude, I don't know if I can do it yet. Like, I still feel like my body isn't quite healed enough yet to go to the dunes, but I really want to call Jake and see if I can get a rental, and maybe he can have Rob put in a mattress in there.
Mattress.
Yeah, and if I just show up and I don't tell anybody, will anybody see me? I'll try to do it, and if it fails, I'll bail. If not, then I'll go show everybody that I'm here. Like,
nice.
So I think
Rob's definitely a good partner to have. He keeps me sleeping good, that's for sure.
Do you guys do rentals and stuff too at the shop?
Yeah, so Rowley White doesn't do rentals. We work with some rental companies in the Phoenix area. There's some guys that work for the stores that they have some, like, their personal units or rentals.
Oh, cool.
Rentals is a hard game.
Yeah, it's a tough game. People trash them and stuff. Like, I've been, not to toot my own horn, but I try to bring them back in the same condition I left them in, just like clean up trash. I actually wash the trailers and do all that and empty them out and do all that stuff before I bring them back. So the rental thing, I think, is something that I want to pursue, though, until I, pay off some of these $500,000 medical bills and then get back to a normal reality at one point. So yeah. I definitely should talk to you about that and see about some of the rental guys that you work with too.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's at the Dirty Dinner Show. Jake Coleman. He's done a lot for the industry. He's made a lot of friends. He's clearly made a friend out of me. Like, I love the dude. I really appreciate everything you're doing. That Black Bay project is cool. Is there any other cool stuff that you want to tell anybody before we sign off?
Can't really. There, and you'll appreciate this. There's another podcast on the horizon, and after this weekend, got some big partners that we're teaming up with to make this happen. Me and another guy that owns a shop in California. So you'll see that, if you follow the Dirty Dooner Show, you'll see that start to pop up. But it's going to be, something that I've had to warm up to. It's going to be about side-by-sides.
Oh, awesome.
And so, yeah, there's going to be like kind of a side-by-side only podcast as kind of part of the Dirty Dooner Show. And like I said, there's some big names in the industry that we're teaming up with to do that. So
that's super cool, man. I think that's awesome to have too, because nobody's done a side-by-side podcast yet. We're talking about dirt and stuff, and obviously I dig moto and obviously have the side-by-side stuff too, but doing a side-by-side only podcast would be fantastic, dude. I think
it'll be really cool.
Yeah, it'll be super cool. Well, yeah, I wish you all the luck on that, and when you get it going, just make sure that you send me some links and stuff, and we can share it through here too.
For sure.
Bitchin', dude. Well, last questions that we have for you. What's the future hold for Jake Coleman?
Well, we're at so hopefully George will give me the file for this show so I can share it on the Dirty Dooner Show. I'm cresting 100 shows, do another 100. Try to be at as many events as I can this time of year. It's pretty much every weekend.
Oh yeah.
And, keep building that off-road dirt life family around me. That's my goal is, I want my kids to go out to the desert and, meet these people that I'm associated with and then be friends with their kids for generations. I just want to create a legacy in this industry, in a community. So
I think
that's
you pretty
the
much
future for me.
I think you pretty much answered our last question.
The
Is
next
how do you
one,
want to be remembered? Yeah.
Yeah.
So you want to be remembered by keeping that legacy going for the kids and stuff, huh?
Well, and I want to be remembered for smiling too. It meant a lot that you said, you're always smiling, because I've always tried to have a positive attitude towards everything I do. I've always kind of tried to stay out of the bullshit on social media. And, when people send me stuff like, oh, you should repost so-and-so's rant. And I'm like, I'm not going to, because that's not me.
Yeah, never. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Well, yeah, I mean, I'm just speaking the truth, dude. But it's funny that you say that, though, too, is that you want to be remembered for smiling, because everybody has a different answer for these questions. But it means a lot to me to hear the truth come out, because you can't fade that question. You can't secretly answer that question.
Right.
It's because how do you want to be remembered? And you want to be remembered for smiling. That means a lot to, I guarantee, a lot of people out there, because it means you're an honest, truthful dude, and you just work hard and you want to leave a good legacy. So kudos to you, brother.
Thanks, man.
All right, Jake. Well, thank you very much for taking the time on our little show. I really appreciate it. Keep kicking ass at your show, man. We definitely love that you're doing it.
Good luck with the Dirt Life show. You guys are doing a great job. I appreciate you. It's an honor to be on it. I wish you guys the best of luck, and let's get together on some stuff.
Definitely. All right, brother. Well, I'll give you a call this week, dude. Thank you so much, Jake Coleman.
All right.
Later.
There.
Man, that was cool. It's so rad to see. I love seeing that that camaraderie and all the stuff that we always talk about, man. The Dirt Life just gets people in such a good mood. I want to go to the dunes now. That's what I feel like. But it's not because I want to go on a dune ride. It's because I want to hang out with everybody. I want to hang out with Jake. I want to hang out with everybody that's out there. I want to have that same interaction that he had this last weekend, because look how much fun he had.
Right. Yep.
Did he tell you about a dune ride? No. He talked about the people and the fun.
All the other parts that made it rememberable.
Yeah,
memorable.
Exactly. And we talked about what place you got, but most of the stuff we talked about in the bicycle race was all the fun you had and all of the stuff that you had during the race. You know what I mean? So
yeah, and leading up to it, like we were saying with the dune prep, there's so many things that I can remember. Dad out there pissed off at night trying to figure, it was such a big thing. I get the trailer and the tires and the, hey, let's tune up the Toyota because it's like 600 years old.
The production just to get out to the dunes, and it makes you respect it that much more. And genuinely, everybody's going out there to hang out with everybody else. Yep. So it means a lot to me to see that Jake is doing that, and he's teaching his kids the right thing. Obviously, that's one cool thing that you and I might do together too. Is maybe one of these days your kids will be able to come and drive the side by side and stuff too. I know that Lily likes unicorns, so
yeah, she can't wait.
So that'll be pretty fun, man. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us. We're sorry for all the technical difficulties that we had today. Hopefully, we can get the internet to be a little bit more friendly next time, although it's we'll blame it on Obama, right?
It's always Obama. Thanks, Obama.
Yeah, thanks, Obama. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining. Thank you, Shock Therapy. Thank you, Fuel Wheels. Thank you, Rigid Industries. Thank you, Zollinger Racing Products. And thank you, Solder Weld. Can't wait to see Lance in December. Thank you, everybody. We love you. Good night.
You've been listening to The Dirt Life Show with George Hamill and Cody Sanders. No desert tortoises were harmed during the production of this episode. However, a cat threw up and somebody shot a duck.